welcome to Cross-cultural Management. In this lecture video, we're going to talk about the approaches to negotiate in cross-cultural contexts. If you can recall well, in the previous lecture, we understood the nature, process, and determinants of international business negotiations. We also identified the potential challenges in cross-cultural contexts via the case study. Especially about the negotiation between Americans and the Chinese. But how can you better manage the negotiation in such contexts? Here are some approaches in accordance with the negotiation process and the following. Well, I think the most important success factor in negotiation is preparation and planning. You may have excellent negotiation skills, persuasive and convincing communication style, or maybe a very strong market positioning in relation to your partner, so you have relatively high bargaining power. But all of this can't overcome the shortcomings caused by poor preparation. Therefore, first of all, you need to identify the contents of the deal, considering what will each partner gain or lose, and how important is the deal for every partner. To negotiate effectively, you as negotiator must gather information on the strengths and weaknesses not only of the opposite party, but also of the other relative parties such as the competitors in the same industries. By considering this, you can develop your own alternative on different issues. In addition to this, you need to put yourself in the other partner's shoes. This will help you interpret and anticipate the partner's reactions to your offers. Be careful while listening to others because very often it is not what they said, but how they said is more important and you should read between the lines. The next approach in pre-negotiation process is that you need to gauge the appropriateness of the messages. It means that the information exchange must be adjusted for easier comprehension by the other partner. Too much technical terms or specifications may not be good unless you provide information in local languages in cross-cultural negotiations. Not only does this facilitate effective communication, but it also demonstrates your respect for the foreign partners. And finally, by gathering information about the other partners and considering each partner's position and developing different alternatives and choices, can build your relative advantages, bargaining power, and a negotiation for sure. That's why preparation is so important to successful negotiations in cross-cultural contexts. The next stage is face-to-face. There are two difficult questions arises in the stage. Okay, so who within the firm should negotiate, and what makes a good negotiator? In fact, people involved in international business negotiation can do more harm than good if they lack an integrated knowledge of their own company and the objective of the deal, of course. Whoever is selected for negotiation must have a good understanding of the deal's implications. This is especially true when long-term relationships are being negotiated. One way to minimize such risk is to appoint a negotiation team where the key members are selected from different departments with experience in the firm, and also in cross-cultural negotiations beforehand, there would be a plus. And also, there are a number of studies have identified characteristics of the good negotiators. Basically, a good negotiator is the person having a quick mind but unlimited patience, know how to dissemble without being a liar, inspire trust without trusting others, be modest but assertive, and charm others without being charmed. From these personalities, you can easily relate a good marketer is usually a good negotiator. Among these characteristics, the most important one, I think, is patience. And in the final stage of negotiation, there will be the post-negotiation stage. I think in this stage, the most critical task is to evaluate the negotiation outcome. But what is a good outcome? You have to understand that a good agreement is one which leads to successful implementation. There are too many examples of the firms getting into troubles because they could not implement the contract conditions of a particular deal. Therefore, in some negotiations, no agreement may be a better outcome for the firm. A good outcome benefits all parties and does not make either party feel it has a less advantageous contract. Sometimes, in practices, negotiators want to avoid specifying some issues and want to keep them ambiguous in order to leave the loopholes for future interpretation of the contract, and this mostly happened for Asian cultures. The main conclusion drawn from the lecture video is that a successful negotiation is not a question of win or lose, but a problem-solving approach to a win-win outcome. So you know about you're gonna have a role play activities in 2 weeks' time, and therefore you have opportunity to apply what you've learned in the lectures and also how to put that into practices. I'm very looking forward to your performance in the role play activity. If you have any questions, please do let me know.